Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Esnaider Ortega Wash Process Colombia from Say Coffee Roasters. And there's the box right there. And Say, based out of Brooklyn, New York, and they've quickly become one of our most featured American roasters on this channel, and that's for a number of reasons which I wanted to address real quick. The first of which we've kind of discussed in previous videos. There's a local coffee shop that carries Say as essentially their house roaster, and as a result it's given us the opportunity to purchase a box whenever we're waiting on a shipment or an order to arrive, but in addition to that it's given us the opportunity to try so many more of Say's coffees and get a lot more familiarized with this coffee roaster as a whole. The second reason being, you guys really seem to enjoy our Say reviews, as they're some of our most popular reviews on the channel. And then the third reason being that Say is very much my type of coffee, as they tend to be more lighter profiled, fruity, floral, clean cups of coffee as a whole. So anytime there's something that catches my interest, it's something I do want to review. And that's the case with this coffee right here, as I purchased it based off of the variety. Tasting notes didn't necessarily sound like my type of coffee, but I've had so many positive experiences with Sidra coffees within the past year, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to discuss a Sidra variety from Say. This right here is day 28 of this coffee. And recipe we went with for this coffee was a 16:1 water to coffee ratio, brewed at 208 degrees Fahrenheit through the V60, which indicates a more medium fine grind, but went even more coarse on this coffee, and we'll get into why that was a little later. They are a light American for the roast profile, and with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start discussing this coffee. So day 8, which was the first time trying it, and I know definitely should not start Say's coffees before the 2-week mark, but as mentioned, we were kind of waiting on a shipment to arrive. So as a result, I gave it a shot, and it was classic Say in the sense that it was a pretty strong citric candy as a whole, and it had quite a nice bit of sweetness to it. And in addition to that, there was the noted berry sweetness that they had mentioned here as a pretty noticeable secondary component. So I left it okay, positive first impression. I said, hey, if this is the way it's on day 8, then we have a lot of potential for this cup of coffee. Best days are most certainly yet to come. Day 10 ran it through the V60, and similar traits, if not slightly more robust in the berry sweetness. So I was getting a lot more of the berry sweetness in this sense. But it was definitely more of a softer red berry. We'll kind of touch on that a little later. It was not quite as clear in the citric candy in that sense, but still a pretty crisp and clean cup of coffee as a whole. Day 12, I've already seen pretty noticeable improvement in this cup of coffee, as it feels classically Say in the sense that the cup is radiating potential that needs to be unlocked. I'm saying, is this the way the cup of coffee is, or does it just have a lot of potential that we still need to work on, maybe with a bit of time, maybe with some adjustments? But it felt almost geisha-like at this point, with the pretty distinct citric delicacy that was coming from the cup of coffee. I felt like that's not necessarily what we were going for with this cup of coffee, so I feel like I was getting this coffee wrong. Day 16 coffee as a whole is notably more sweet, as it has a lot of the vintage Say lemon lime candy sweetness to it. The secondary berry characteristic still remains kind of this more lighter berry as a whole, and I was thinking at this time maybe a very unripe kind of slight strawberry to it. Day 19 coffee still feels mostly tame. There's some hidden sweetness, mostly from the citrus in the cup, but it's lost a little bit of its berry, which just felt very subdued. The cup of coffee was feeling pretty subdued at this point, so I didn't feel like it was getting the best from this cup of coffee through the Chemex, but the V60 was giving some decent results, so we were continuing to make adjustments, and the best descriptor I had for this cup of coffee on day 22 was it just has this kind of unripened strawberry berry sweetness to it. Best descriptor I have for that is think a strawberry water. So like when you go to a hotel or something like that and they have those fruit waters and there's like strawberries cut up inside of the water, and you'd give that a shot. That's kind of the best way I could describe this coffee. So it was just too tame, it was too weak, and even with adjustments I was still having that issue. Day 25 was the best result I had, and this was going significantly coarser than typically would for a V60, and with higher temps, it kind of gave it a really strong lemon candy sweetness to it. So at the very least, I was getting some strong flavors to the cup of coffee finally. In addition to that, some very strong berry-like characteristics. It was a more tart berry, so think cranberries, currants, those red currants, but I most would closely align this with a red raspberry, and that's the best descriptor I had. Some slight faint peachiness in the background and some additional herbal floral. So I don't know if I necessarily got this coffee right towards the end, but it was significantly better and more enjoyable, much more flavorful by the end. All right, let's go ahead and put the tasting wheel so you can see what we're getting. A lot of level 4, so let's run through them real quick. So in cleanliness, yeah, naturally you would expect Say's coffees to be pretty clean. It's maybe on the higher end of that level 4. You could probably bump that up to a level 5, but I think 4 is about perfect for it. Finish, level 4. Yeah, again, kind of on the higher side. It's got quite a lasting finish. Definitely that citric finish to it. Sweetness level 4, yeah, it's a pretty sweet cup of coffee. By the end, when I was able to figure this out a little better anyway, it had a lot more sweetness to it. Acidity remains a Sei coffee. I mean, this looks like a Sei tasting bill, to be honest. High on this acidity, sweetness, finish, and cleanliness. That's not really surprising. And then the citrus, of course, at a level 4. And I've joked before that if Sei coffee doesn't have a citric flavor note on it, then it's probably not actually a Sei coffee. But yeah, definitely the most dominant characteristic in this cup of coffee was that very strong lemon. Still experiencing that. Tasting it right now after I've taken that sip for quite a while, has a very long-lasting citric finish to it. And as a result, the berry fruit, which was very much the secondary component, maybe on certain days I could probably put that on the higher end of the 3, but I think 3 is about perfect for it. Slightly salty, yeah, that has a lot to do with the very strong lemon. The florals are an interesting one because they have listed on here a soft floral delicacy, and I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. It felt like a slightly more herbal floral to me, and it was even more pronounced. So I'm probably thinking if you want to go this route, a more delicate, tame hibiscus, but in that sense, that's not necessarily the most kind of hidden flavor. It's a pretty pronounced flavor, a little bit more herbal in that sense. So yeah, I have that still at a level 3. Body level 3. Definitely lower side of that level 3. It has a fair bit of body to it though. Anything else worth noting? Bitterness, that's always going to be expected when you have a lot of citric in a cup of coffee. I think for the most part it looks pretty decent, but it's a Sei coffee, so I don't know how confident you ever feel on kind of addressing a Sei coffee as a whole. They're always just bordering and tricky and difficult to really assess. My overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee, I mean, it was classic Sei in the sense that no matter how much work I put into this cup of coffee, I still at no point felt like I ever got the best out of this coffee. Towards the end I said, it's pretty good. This is what you kind of expect from Sei, is that you're either going to have a cup of coffee that blows you away, a cup of coffee that's going to be a little underwhelming, or you're going to have a cup of coffee that you feel like you didn't get right. Those are kind of the 3 categories you can lump a Sei coffee into, and I feel like this is the one that I don't necessarily think I got right. But towards the end, I thought it was a pretty decent cup of coffee, nothing spectacular, and something that I did enjoy throughout the time drinking it. So yeah, that's just kind of my overall assessment of this one. Type of person I would suggest this coffee to, I mean, you really have to love your Sei coffees, most notably that citrus component to them. This is abundance of citrus, of course. The berry sweetness that's coming from it, I think is actually quite nice. So if you can maybe get that a little bit more, then I think you'd really enjoy it. But the slight additional characteristics, most notably that herbality and that very delicate and lingering peachiness to it, they're quite nice. They're probably my favorite characteristics that come from this cup of coffee as well. As citrus isn't my favorite, but I don't mind it in Sei's coffees. It's to be expected with so many of their coffees. But for the most part, I think this is kind of the best way I can leave this review. Another tricky Sei review, as you'd imagine. But if you by chance had an opportunity to try this coffee, would love to know your thoughts and impressions of it as well. If you enjoy the content, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a review of the Esnaider Ortega wash processed Colombia from Sei Coffee Roasters. Thank you for watching.